XRP and the Ripple ecosystem. Prepare for shock, because this isn't another bland crypto update. This is the insider truth that major media outlets, regulators, and even giants like BlackRock and the SEC do not want you to hear. The XRP community is buzzing with whispers, and today I'm giving you the facts that could change the trajectory of your portfolio forever. Are you ready to see the moves that could make the next 90 days absolutely explosive? This isn't speculation. This is evidence, filings, and strategic plays that the elite financial institutions are quietly positioning around as we speak. But before we dive in, make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, because missing the next XRP development could literally cost you thousands. Yes, thousands. We are talking about the kind of market-shaking events that the IMF and the Bank for International Settlements monitor behind closed doors while the public sleeps. Think about it. Why would Ripple continue to aggressively expand partnerships with Santander, PNC, and American Express if they weren't sitting on a hidden advantage that the SEC and Wall Street analysts are scrambling to decode? Why would institutional players like Citi, JP Morgan, and even BlackRock quietly increase their exposure to XRP without any mainstream announcement? This isn't a coincidence. This is a coordinated storm, and the XRP community is at the eye of it. Every smart trader, every seasoned investor is asking the same question. Is Ripple about to unleash a wave that will redefine cross-border finance forever? The chatter is intense. The filings are public yet buried in plain sight, and the implications are mind-boggling. But here's the kicker. Most people will completely miss it because they rely on outdated news cycles and lazy headlines that avoid the real story. Today, you are stepping into the inner circle. You are about to see the facts everyone's talking about, but no one has the guts to break down. XRP is not just a token. It is a weaponized tool of liquidity, network efficiency, and regulatory disruption, quietly positioning itself in corridors where the IMF, SEC, and even major hedge funds are paying attention. Prepare for some jaw-dropping truths, and I mean the kind that makes you rethink your entire crypto strategy. Ready to go deeper? Strap in, because once we unpack this, there's no going back to surface-level crypto chatter. Here's where things get truly explosive. The data behind XRP's latest moves is not just interesting, it's a ticking bomb of institutional strategy that the SEC, BlackRock, and even the IMF are monitoring behind closed doors. Look at Ripple's recent XRP transactions. Millions of dollars are being moved strategically between exchanges. Escrow releases are happening on a timetable that coincides with major banking quarter ends, and insiders are quietly positioning for what could be the largest liquidity shift in the history of crypto markets. And here's the part that will make your jaw drop. According to blockchain analytics, entities linked to major hedge funds and investment banks are quietly scooping up XRP in volumes that dwarf retail trading activity, meaning the big players are stacking while the average trader is distracted by dog coins and headline noise. But it doesn't stop there. SEC filings, court documents, and Ripple's own legal disclosures hint at a scenario where XRP is uniquely positioned to survive regulatory pressure that has crippled so many other tokens. Think about it. While Ethereum and Bitcoin wrestle with energy debates, regulatory scrutiny, and massive whale sell-offs, Ripple is quietly ticking all the boxes to become the go-to compliance-friendly bridge asset for global payments. That's why you're seeing deals with Santander, Standard Chartered, and even MoneyGram's cross-border network. Not just partnerships, but strategic positioning for adoption at a scale that few outside the inner circle are acknowledging. And if you're still skeptical, ask yourself this. Why would BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, openly explore XRP exposure while keeping it almost invisible to public eyes? Why would JP Morgan, Citi, and even the IMF be running simulations on digital asset settlement using XRP rails if it weren't about to disrupt the $2 trillion cross-border payments market? This is not theory. This is the financial establishment quietly gearing up for a paradigm shift. And here's the insider tip. Timing is everything. The next wave of XRP adoption is being orchestrated to hit just as traditional finance is showing cracks in liquidity flow, meaning early positioning could create gains that are jaw-droppingly asymmetric compared to traditional equities or even other crypto assets. If you thought the last bull run was crazy, what's coming could make it look like child's play. Now let's talk about the catalyst, the moment that could make XRP go from quietly dominating institutional corridors to front-page market-shaking headlines, and why the FUD you're seeing is pure theater designed to keep retail investors scared and out of the way. Prepare yourself. The SEC lawsuit, which mainstream media has framed as an endless legal nightmare, is actually being leveraged by Ripple as a blueprint for regulatory clarity, a move that could set XRP apart from every other token in existence. While headlines scream uncertainty, insiders know this is a masterclass in compliance positioning. Imagine the SEC being forced to publicly define what makes a digital asset security versus a utility token, and Ripple emerging with precedent that legitimizes its network and XRP holdings for decades. That's not speculation, that's math, filings, and legal maneuvering that Wall Street is quietly cheering on. And while retail investors panic at every tweet or court update, Ripple's partnerships with top-tier financial institutions continue to expand at a rate that defies logic. Santander, PNC, American Express, SBI Holdings. The list reads like a who's who of global finance. And they are not dabbling in XRP for fun. They are integrating it into the backbone of cross-border liquidity flows. WTF. And here's the kicker. Every negative headline about Ripple or XRP has historically coincided with massive buying by institutions. Look at the patterns. Every dip, every scare, every so-called FUD moment has been a vacuum where insiders quietly stack XRP while the masses panic. The lesson is brutally simple. Mainstream media coverage is never the signal. It's noise. The real signal is in partnerships, court filings, escrow releases, and blockchain analytics, all pointing toward a coordinated surge in adoption that could dwarf anything the crypto market has seen before. And don't underestimate the psychological warfare being waged here. While you're debating the merits of XRP, the big players are quietly building the network, the liquidity, and the market confidence that will make the next move unstoppable. If you've ever wondered why Ripple keeps expanding its network despite legal pressure, why BlackRock and JP Morgan are exploring XRP settlements, or why hedge funds are quietly stacking tokens, the answer is this. We are on the edge of a financial tectonic shift, and XRP is at the epicenter. The only question left is, are you positioned to survive the shockwave, or will you be left on the sidelines watching everyone else profit? Now, we arrive at the price justification, the part that mainstream analysts refuse to discuss, the numbers that make XRP's potential absolutely staggering. Let's be brutally honest. Based on escrow releases, institutional accumulation, and cross-border payment integration, the market is primed for a liquidity squeeze that could push XRP multiples beyond anything conventional charts suggest. Forget $1, $2, even $5 when you consider Ripple's network effects, partnerships with Santander, PNC, American Express, and strategic moves with MoneyGram. Combined with hedge fund accumulation, the realistic near-term targets could be exponential. And here's the brutal truth. The SEC's legal outcomes, rather than being a roadblock, are a springboard. If Ripple wins key points of its case, it's not just a victory for XRP holders. It's a green light for institutional adoption on a scale the crypto market has never seen. Imagine BlackRock or Citibank quietly settling multi-million-dollar cross-border flows using XRP rails, while the rest of the world is still debating, is it a security? The supply-demand math is insane. Millions of XRP locked in escrow, billions being quietly accumulated by institutions, and adoption rates surging, all while retail panic creates temporary price dips. This is textbook asymmetric risk-reward, and it's the kind of setup legends are made of. But here's the final warning. If you're not paying attention, if you're waiting for mainstream confirmation, you're already late. Every move Ripple makes, every legal filing, every new bank integration is designed to capitalize on the very FUD designed to keep you frozen in hesitation. The next wave of XRP could explode with velocity that shocks the market, redefines cross-border payments, and puts early positioned holders in a position to reap unprecedented gains. The facts are on the blockchain, the data is in the filings, and the insiders are already acting. What you choose to do with this information will define whether you watch history unfold or get swept aside. XRP is no longer a speculative play. It's a coordinated financial phenomenon, and the time to act, learn, and position yourself is now, before the next headline catches the mainstream unprepared and before the market realizes what's happening in plain sight. In conclusion, esteemed viewers, the XRP story you've been watching unfold isn't just another crypto narrative. It's a high-stakes play at the heart of global finance, quietly monitored by the SEC, IMF, BlackRock, and every major bank with a stake in cross-border liquidity. The partnerships, the legal strategy, the escrow releases, and the stealth accumulation by institutional giants all point to a moment of market clarity that could redefine the future of digital assets forever. If you've stayed with me through this deep dive, you now have the facts, the context, and the insight that the mainstream media refuses to acknowledge, giving you a rare, privileged perspective on a financial revolution quietly taking shape. The key takeaway is simple. XRP is positioned at the epicenter of adoption, regulatory breakthrough, and institutional accumulation, and ignoring it now could mean missing one of the most explosive movements in crypto history. So take action, do your research, watch the blockchain flows, track the filings, and above all, position yourself with strategy and discipline. Because when the next wave hits, it will separate the informed from the uninformed in a way that could be irreversible. This isn't hype. This is the truth hidden in plain sight, and the clock is already ticking. The question is, are you ready to step off the sidelines and into the eye of the XRP storm?